Hey YouTubers, Mike Wendland here. Hey, we all rely on cellular phones when we're out in the woods in our RV camping and hiking trips. But what happens when there is no cell phone system? Well, that is when you may want to invest in what I did, an amateur radio VHF UHF system for my RV. Now let me point out that to operate amateur radio, you do have to have a license issued by the Federal Communications Commission or the equivalent agency in Canada. But it's very easy to get that license. I'll explain later. The system I have is so advanced that it uses GPS satellites, radio waves, and the internet. And it allows me to communicate anywhere in the world, anytime I want. Let me show you. My new amateur radio system consists of a small handheld transceiver, the Yaesu FT2D, and this unit mounted in my RV, the Yaesu 400XDR. Both operate on a specialized system called Fusion, utilizing both analog and digital formats that let you do some pretty amazing things. Let me show you a Fusion feature called WiresX. If you look here, you can see these are what they call rooms, or some people call them nodes. They're basically, there's one for Italy. They're basically places where you can gather and talk to stations all over the world. That's Italy. There's one for the United Kingdom. There's some for Texas. There's various states that have their own. But this one is, says there's 74 stations online right now, and that's called the America Link.
Mike, this is G0 Italy United America. Stuart, Sugar Tango United America Radio Texas.
Hey Stuart, I happen to know where you are because I can see it on my screen here, but just to bring it home to those who are watching this on our YouTube channel, why don't you come back and tell everybody exactly where you are located?
Okay, Mike, and all you guys out there on YouTube, this is G0IUA, Italy Unite Alpha, Stuart, and I'm in Bolton, the town of Bolton, Bravo Oscar Lima, Tango Oscar November, which is 11 miles north from the city of Manchester in the northwest of England. And we have a bit of a grey day and rain.
73 Stuart, and I'm showing everybody here the screen on my FT400 that you are in miles, 3,659 miles from me right now, and it sounds like you're right next door. G0IUA, Kilo 8 Zulu Radio Hotel.
G0 Italy United Alpha in Bolton, northwest England. Saying thanks for the call. Catch you later.
Now, I don't want to get overly technical here, but I do need to explain that the system fusion technology I showed you is unique to that Yaesu brand. That's just the type of radio that I happen to have purchased. There are other amateur radio equipment makers who use different but similar technologies. There's things like Daystar out there and Echolink that kind of do the same thing. And all the radios use radio waves, and all can access this network of amateur radio repeaters all across the world. The repeaters kind of work like cell phone towers. They pass your signal on from one to another. You will be heard either by direct radio line of sight communication, or those repeaters, or those new technologies like system fusion. And I also want to talk about price. It isn't that expensive. You can get into a basic VHF UHF radio for around $100 for a radio and an antenna, and they can go up into several $100s as well. But it's very accessible, very affordable, and very effective. So let me show you. This is where I mounted my amateur radio control head. That is the control head. Is actually mounted to my windshield with a suction cup. But this is where it all is controlled. There's plenty of room for me to see the outside of the the outside the windshield. This is just up in the corner, and it's very handy. And this is the screen. This is the control head. The actual radio itself is mounted up in here, and I'm gonna hide those wires, but that's where I keep it, and it's all strapped down. You'll see all those wires will go away, but I just installed it. This is where the antenna comes into the vehicle, and it kind of is hidden all throughout in there. I do my power from underneath the floor down about there. That is where the battery, one of the coach batteries is accessed, and I kind of hid that and ran that up the column, and it connects to the control radio, and then there's a separate control head that is actually how you run the radio. But that is where it's at. All right, there is the ham radio antenna. It isn't that long, and it is just mounted. It's a magnetic mount, and it's just mounted or stuck to a piece of metal right up there on top of the roof. You might want to know what the other antennas are. That's the AM radio for the Sprinter. That is my cell phone booster antenna, and as I said, that's my ham radio antenna. It's a magnetic mount, and it does a fine job. Now, does it interest you to have an amateur radio system in your RV? Well, it used to be that it was very challenging to get a license. You had to pass an examination in sending and receiving Morse code. You had to know complicated radio electronic theory. That's the way it was when I got my license many years ago. But now there are different degrees of licenses, and the license that you need to operate a VHF UHF system, like I'm demonstrating in this video, is very easy to get. You don't have to know Morse code. And there are amateur radio clubs all across the country that will help you understand how to get that license, help you do it. It doesn't take long. It's not a difficult test. Below in the description for this video here on YouTube, I have put a link into the American Radio Relay League. Now, they have a ton of information on how to get a ham radio license. It's something that you can do very quickly. They will get you connected with people in your area, and you can have a system just like the one I'm showing and be able to do all sorts of things. Besides what I've just shown you, let me give you a demo on a couple of other things that makes amateur radio such a great hobby for RVers. Here's something else that's really cool about this. Suppose I was taking a hike out in the woods and I got somehow mixed up and ended up being lost and not knowing where the RV is. Well, with this handy talkie and a service it has, I can actually draw a plot that points directly back to the RV, tells me how far it is from where I'm at now, and just sends me on a straight line. All I got to do is follow the compass. Conversely, back in the RV, say I was hurt and was out there somewhere in the woods and I couldn't transmit, well, the mobile unit in my RV will do the same thing. It will point directly to where I am out in the woods. One more thing, using something called the automatic packet reporting system, I can generate a map of my travels in my RV that will display in real time on a computer screen and can be shared with friends or family so somebody will always know where I am. And with all the boondocking that Jennifer and I do, that provides real peace of mind. Hey, I can even share it on my website so readers can meet up with us. So there you go. That's why amateur radio plays such an important and a fun role in the communication system that I'm using in our RV. If you'd like more information, I've posted some resources that will help you understand more about this in the description right below this video. Please also subscribe to our YouTube RV Lifestyle channel. I'm Mike Wendland. Thanks for watching.